Hello folks, hope you're having a good week. We are at Thursday already, we are nearly at the end of the week. Can you believe it? Can you Adam and Eve it? I certainly can't. We're getting through the weeks very, very quickly towards the end of the year. And one thing I am loving is that we have Halloween just around the corner. And at the end of this month, well at the end of next month, when we get to Halloween in October, we will be doing more live streams. I know you all loved those last time. There were some really good fun times. So we'll be doing some scary games over Halloween where you can laugh at me jumping out of my seat. And they will all of them will be for charity going towards November and male mental health as we go in towards November, which is very, very important. I'm doing November this year. I'm doing my moustache and all that sort of stuff. I will be posting pictures. It will be awful. So, one other thing that I've been asked to bring to your attention is the brand new Composite Games Northern Exile prize draw. We're having 2 prize draws on the channel. I know, amazing stuff. The first one is on the 8th of October, which is 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks essentially, so a week this Sunday. And to enter into that one, all you need to do is be a part of my Patreon or be a member of the channel. That gets you an entry into that prize draw where you could win £100 of free models from Composite Games. That's all you need to do to enter into my personal prize draw, but Composite Games have done you one further. So if you don't want to be in that channel, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to give North any money, I want him to stop drinking beer and coffee and tea, so I'm not going to give him any money. That's fine. That's cool. Why don't you help out a local business then? Because Composite Games is on its way, as you can see here, to moving location. It is on its way to going elsewhere and to upgrading all of its facilities and all of its everything, essentially. This will be running for 2 weeks. It is a prize draw. And as you can see there, the initial prize is £400 worth of Composite Games products. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be Games Workshop stuff, Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering. Anything that you want can be yours from Composite Games. If you get involved here, all you need to do is do one of the entry options down here. You have a £3 entry, £5 entry, £10 entries, £20, £50, all the way down here. And the cause is this. We introduced the previous draws as a means to help Composite Games with its growth, as we have suffered setbacks with our plans due to the pandemic, of course, cost of living crisis, and supply chain issues with Games Workshop. We've covered those on the channel before. Extremely annoying. Okay? The draws have helped us introduce a means for our customers and supporters to pop some money our way in exchange for the chance to win some awesome prizes. And this one in particular will be going towards them, pushing out there and not so much changing location, but upgrading their location, you know, from what I understand, and making sure the business is running properly, which is very nice. So that's also really, really, really cool. So if you want to help out a really nice local place that does a lot for the channel, they do a lot for the channel. They make sure we have prizes for our prize draws. They supply me with models from time to time to give to you guys as a way for free, right? Then get involved, go to them, have a word with them. And I've just gotten word back that one of our prize winners from a previous month has gotten their prizes now, and they got loads of freebies in there as well, just thrown in. So these are good people who really want to do what's best for you. So if you want to help out a local store, this is the way to do it. Head on to here, onto the Northern Exile Composite Games prize draw, and enter for your chance to win £400 worth of models. That draw will get bigger and bigger and bigger as more people sign up. So off you go. Remember my prize draw, and there's another one there for you too. On to Hobby Nightmares. Sorry about the long read today, but I just wanted to make sure that the plans going forward for the channel were all up and ready to go, right? Alright. I will be putting a timestamp down below if you want to skip to the head of where the shall I say, the Hobby Nightmares start, which is right now. So, Kronos says, "Hi North, I have a story where I can't tell if I'm in the wrong or not, and could really use your wisdom in such matters, okay? I'm a young dude in the States. I'm over 18 if you're worried about that. I am worried about that. If you're under 18, don't send me mail. Right? It keeps happening. Don't send me stuff. I don't want to interact with people who are under 18. I'm sorry. It's just not a can of worms I'm looking to open, okay? Just don't text me. This story happens over an amount of time, so there might be some confusing jumps in time, alright? I normally don't like hobby nightmares with little to no actual hobbying, so I guess I'm a slight hypocrite in this story. I don't really have an excuse, sorry. Enough gabbling on, so I should get to the actual story. A few years ago, I was in my freshman year of high school. Halfway through the year, I met someone who would be my first friend eventually. Her name was Carrie. Names have been changed for privacy reasons, okay? I didn't talk to her right after she moved here, but I kind of eyed her from the side. Eventually, my friend John decided we should introduce ourselves to her because every morning she would sit alone at a table in the common area. There is some hobby in here, I suppose. We walked up and sat down at the table and introduced ourselves. I'd be lying if I said we didn't try to impress her with our stupid doodles we did in our favourite notebooks for class. After a while, John stopped sitting with her, but I never stopped. We became best friends, and eventually we tried showing each other our interests. She showed me things like Markiplier, which I never saw the appeal of really, and I showed her D&D. Her cousin lived in town and also played D&D, so I figured I could DM a campaign for them. Unfortunately, she never made it past session 1 of a couple of campaigns we did. Some time passed and we drifted in and out of contact. Towards the end of sophomore year, which is second year for those in the UK, she moved away. When we met, she was a senior, so she was a bit older than me. She moved to the capital of the state and I stayed in bumblefuck nowhere. She was gone, but I still had a line of contact through our phone numbers. Alright? Well, to be fair, man, not everybody gets into D&D. It is a big time sink, and if people aren't really seeing it, they don't need to get into it. It's fine. We tried talking about the distance that separated us more than... we tried talking, but the distance separated us more than physically. I tried reaching out, and at first, all was fine. Then, my mental health dropped. I tried reaching out for advice, and she told her aunt, who told my parents. Oh man, I felt betrayed, and tried to cut off contact with her. Eventually, I realised I was being unreasonable and apologised through the text. I tried to introduce her to my girlfriend. At the time, I decided to try introducing her to Warhammer 40k too. I was teaching her about the Chaos Gods when we started arguing about her talking to my girlfriend, and we decided not to talk to each other. What? That's a bit of a left field. Every day I find myself thinking about her and I miss her friendship so much. My girlfriend suggested she was into me, but I know she wasn't. Alright, I'm gonna, there's more hobby in here after this, which I quite like, but I need to say this to you. If your girlfriend thinks that a girl is into you, 9 times out of 10, they're right. You're not gonna be happy with me saying that, I know. But 9 times out of 10, a woman's gut intuition, she can tell when another woman's into you. And they can tell way before you can. Right? Gonna hit you with an anecdote from my own past. I was living in a house in London. And my girlfriend at the time, little Asian hottie, and we're going around, you know, having a nice time in town in London. And I'm thinking, you know what, this girl might be for me. She's really, really cool, right? You know, her dad's Irish and mum's Filipino. You know, so the best of both worlds. I've got like a really good caustic accent on one side and a mother who likes to feed you on the other side. I loved it. It was great. So anyway, yeah, things are going quite well. And I move into a new house. So I've just left Games Workshop at this time. Yes, it is that girlfriend from the Games Workshop stories. And, you know, I move into this place in London and I'm running a bar and I'm having fun. And she meets somebody from my house, a girl. You know, she meets him, another lovely looking girl, you know, blonde, whatever, you know. But in all honesty, I only had eyes for my woman at this point. I was only like, oh my god, I'm besotted with her, right? So, all 3 of us are talking. Me, this other girl, and my girlfriend are all talking in the kitchen area. And then eventually, me and my girlfriend go out for a drink, and she tells me, look, I don't like that girl. And I said, why? And she said, because she's into you. And I said, no, she isn't. That she's not flirted with me at all. And she said, no, yes, she has. It's just really careful flirting. but she's doing it. She is doing it. She does like you. I'm like, no, she doesn't. And I'll be honest with you, to this day, I don't see how she got it. I don't see how she figured that out. Anyway, months later, me and this girl split up, right? And literally, a week later, I'm talking a week later, I'm in how do I put it? In coitus with this other girl, right? Who's living in the house. So I've had a clean break from the other girl. A week later, this other girl's made her move. She's gone from being under the radar flirting to actually flirting and being obvious about saying, hey, you know, put it this way, I'm upstairs and I get a text saying, hey, because I said to her, you know, fucking hell, like the train's going past are keeping me awake sometimes, you know, it's just a bit shitty, you know, it is what it is. And she said, well, you know, if the trains are keeping you up, feel free to sleep down here with me, it's fine, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know what's happening at this point. So yeah, I had no idea. And I'm very good at picking up signals. A lot of you, especially those of you who know me in real life, who listen to these videos, you know I'm good at picking up signals. I'm like, oh, she's not interested. Oh, yes, she is interested. You know, that kind of a thing. I had no idea. Women operate on a level that is just, it is just the Twilight Zone sort of shit. They can pick up things in the air, sniff out the hormones going, that woman's ready to mate, and you're not mating with my man, go fuck yourself, right? So if she thinks that this girl's into you, 9 times out of 10, my dude, they're right. They know their territory and they know how to defend it, right? There's not a training that they need. Men need to be trained to figure this shit out. Women don't. Women just know. They just know. This is my territory. You're overstepping. Go fuck yourself. They know. All right? Okay. And they will pick up on body language things that you would never even thought were real. But they are. Anyway. I did end up teaching my girlfriend about Warhammer. And even started her burgeoning Necron army, which is about 740 points now. I personally play Tyranids. I know, surprising that I'm a dude and I play Nids, but my girlfriend plays Necrons. Well, women play, most of the women I know play Necrons or Tyranids, so yeah, it's fine. I do have, not that you need to, I'm just saying most of them do. I do have a way of reaching out to Kerry through a friend, and I want to know what I should do. I really miss her. Thanks for reading my story. Maybe next time I'll tell you about the time I got into a debate with a young they-them about coding. Once again, sorry for the lack of hobby in this story. Side note, I googled what you look like, and I have much more respect for you because I expected you to look like Gus from Truth Seekers. Cheeky bastard. If you don't know what I mean, it is that show is that you can watch it on Prime. Thanks. Have a lovely day. Thank you very much, man. I think that's a compliment. I'm not sure. But no, I don't look like him. You can. I'll tell you what, cheeky bastard. Anyway, don't call this other. If you like the girlfriend that you have, don't call this other girl because this other girl is clearly seeing that your previous friend is encroaching on her territory and she doesn't like it. This girl you're with now is trying to get into the hobby. She's doing all the things that you want a girl to do. The grass isn't always greener, my friend. Don't look at another hottie or don't look at another gorgeous girl or girl that you think is the one that got away and think that the grass is always greener. It's not. One of the main mistakes I've made across my life is dumping a woman to go off with somebody else only to realise, oh shit, this is a big mistake. I've done it more than once. When I was younger, it never really works out, right? It never does. Because that is a relationship based on lies. It's a relationship based on, getting rid of somebody else you can get with somebody else. Not a good foundation, right? If you've got a woman who's going out of her way to get into your hobbies, who is really, really good for you, you get along, you make each other laugh, she's hot, she's everything, she's intelligent, keep her, and keep her happy, right? Don't bend over backwards, but, be a man. Be a man who's present in the relationship. She obviously feels like this other girl is encroaching on her territory, so respect her wishes. Say, okay, cool, and don't talk to her again. If this other girl really wanted to talk to you, right, she'd get in touch. She would. She has the same means of getting in touch with you as you do with her. So, move on is what I would say. Move on. Dan says, hey there, Northern. Hey, man. You can call me Dan. I am in my 30s and just getting into wargaming. My friends and I love the lore of 40k, but honestly find the gameplay somewhat lacking, so we are collecting and playing Conflict 47 at the moment. Okay. Anyway, just because my friends or I are new to wargaming does not mean we are new to doing hobbies together as a group. Since high school, we have played paintball together. I heard an airsoft story on one of your episodes, and I figured I would add one from my favourite hobby. That's cool, man. I love airsoft stories. I remember the one you mean as well. It did stand out at the time. But this one isn't as long, which I kind of like. Because that last one was very, very long. Anyway. My friends and I used to attend a week-long paintball event every year that was essentially a D-Day reenactment. The event has unfortunately since stopped, but at its height there were approximately 4,000 players stretched across 1,000 acres of land, all shooting each other with paintballs in the middle of the summer. It was a freaking blast. Before I go into this particular story, I want to say that the vast majority of interactions I had with other players here were great. If someone would get a good hit on me, I would tell them, "Nice shot, dude," or "Good move." And I even had several people walk up and shake my hand or give me a high five after a particularly good fight. However, when you have that many people running around the woods in full kit in the middle of summer, tensions can get high, and the worst will come out in at least a few of these people. My friends and I played for the German team. I like how you called it the German team. Now, before you judge us, I'm not judging you. There are two sides to World War II. I'm not judging you. Right? I had a conversation ages ago with Morty and Glory about people who play bolt action, right? And there are a lot of people telling me that, oh yeah, if you play the Germans, you're obviously hiding something, or there's obviously a lot of those people in there. There isn't. There isn't. Like, I've spoken to dozens of them now. Some of you lot, not you lot watching this video, but, people who tell me of these things are lying motherfuckers. because bolt action people are the most normal people I've ever known. And I've recently gotten to know a few of them, so, yeah, just because you play the German side doesn't mean you have any affiliation, alright? Okay, there were two sides to World War II. If you're going to represent it properly, you've got to represent both sides. Anyway, now, before you begin to judge us, I'm not. We played the Germans because, ironically, they were the more relaxed side. I love it. They were the more relaxed side. While Allied players would go out and run required drills in the sun for hours at a time, German players mostly just played the games each day and relaxed in camp for the rest of the time. Allied players, by and large, wanted a military simulator experience, whilst German players were mostly on vacation. This is not where I thought this was going. This is hilarious. Okay. This led to some occasional rampant cheating on the Allied side. I have multiple stories of this happening, but I'll just focus on one today. As I know you aren't a rules minutia person, I won't focus too much on the details of the game. Thank you so much. Thank you. There's nothing worse than reading Hobby Nightmare and having to explain rules to people at speed. It's horrible. Suffice to say that certain objectives around the field are worth points at specific times of the day, and each side has starting points and respawn points that are only open at certain times of day. As you can imagine, a big draw of this event are former military personnel. My friends and I played alongside 4 retired Marines who saw combat in Afghanistan. Whilst these guys were pretty relaxed off the field, they did not put up with cheating whilst on the field and were not afraid to stand up to anybody. Yeah, those dudes are not going to be easy to work around. Enough background though, on to the story. One year, the Allied Rangers were given the ability to start the game near the middle of the field, but were given very specific instructions on the exact location of their starting point. As per usual, they took this specific instruction as more of a guideline, and 12 of them decided they wanted to start right next to the German starting point and get the drop on about 50 guys right as the game started. Well, Our 4 combat veteran friends saw what was happening and decided to make sure the Allies knew they were in the wrong in the first place. I was not present for what happened next, but the entire event was recorded by a photographer there to take pictures of the event. The retired Marines walked up and explained that the Rangers were not where they were supposed to be. The Rangers argued, and after about 5 minutes of verbal altercation growing more and more heated, one of the Rangers pulls a knife. So, now we have 4 retired Marines versus 12 guys, one of which has a knife. It wasn't anywhere close to a fair fight. You already know what I'm going to say next. The Marines beat the absolute piss out of these 12 guys. I remember seeing one of the Marines grab the guy with a knife, put him in a chokehold, and just keep calmly saying, "Just put it down, man. It's not worth it. Just put it down." As the guy slowly lost consciousness. That's great. Whispering sweet nothings in his ear. Our group, being only about 50 to 60 yards off, heard the commotion of the fight starting and came to find 8 guys on the ground and the other 4 had run off. It was over that fast. Listening to some of the Hobby Nightmare stories about cheating tournament players in 40k reminded me of some of the guys I've come up against playing paintball. Some people just want to win at any cost and believe cheating is part of the game. I thought you might enjoy hearing a story about a bunch of guys who knew they were cheating, get what was coming to them. I saved this bit at the end of the email as not to hold up the video. First off, I think your content is fantastic. Secondly, in a world with big names like Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate poisoning the minds of young men, it's refreshing to see someone giving somewhat lost men non-toxic advice. Thank you very much, man. That means a lot. That means a lot. That's a hell of a thing to say. Thank you. My small group of friends have mostly known each other since high school or before, and always have good male role models growing up. Most of us were in Boy Scouts of America growing up and had a fantastic experience there. Until a couple of years ago, I always took that for granted. I realised there are many men out there who do not have meaningful relationships with other men and do not have a tight-knit group they can rely on as friends. Your video where you told the guy who wrote in you could give him your personal email and told him to give you weekly status updates really showed me the content of your character. Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Whenever I do that, I do it for a while and then I'll send the email and the emails will just die away. Do you know what I mean? The person will like take longer and longer to respond. Not because things are going badly, but most of the time they email me again and say, "Listen, my life's kind of turned around and is going quite well, so I don't need to, I want to talk to you, but like I'm busy." Do you know, which is good. Some of them don't, some of them need professional help that I can't give, and so I tell them to go to therapy, I tell them to get that sorted out, and then when they get that sorted out, come back to me. Anyway, as my career levels out, I want to get back into the Scouts as a leader and to try to do the same from my own angle. We may each just be one person, but no matter how small our sphere of influence is, it is important to remember we can counteract the poison of guys like Andrew Tate are peddling. If you'd like to hear more stories from the world of paintball, let me know. Thanks for your time, Dan. I would love to, mate. I'd love to. There's more than normal hobbies here, right? There's more than 40k here. You can come in and talk. But our last one is about 40k. So I thought we'd better throw this one in here just to make sure we got loads of hobby in a Hobby Nightmare. So, Foxon says, "Hey North, hope you don't mind me sending this in." Obviously I don't, it's a Hobby Nightmare. It's not very long, but covers something very important to me. It's my local store, and the gutting of grimdark from it, and I need to know if I'm going crazy, or if I am crazy. My local store is a godsend for me. I am naturally a very lonely person, and crave being around people, but I often find it hard to break down those walls and just meet folks. So, the hobby is an interesting bridge for me to do that. It's kind of like putting stabilising wheels on a bike to ride it for the first time. I'm 27, and if I'm being honest, I've never been that good at connecting with people. This means that when I got into the hobby, and I started making friends, that became like a drug to me. I loved it. Then I moved away to another state with my parents, and when I left home at the age of 22, I set up a life there. I have a good job that I love. I work from home mostly, So that side of my life is totally fine. When I found this new store, we will call it the Dice Pit, I guess, I found an even better place than the one I'd left behind when my parents moved. A place of dads rolling dice together, having fun, of guys from college and high school coming in to get their bearings in the hobby, in a place that understood that nurturing these people was important to their bottom line. The staff were also amazing and so friendly. For years, I'd head in there, becoming a part of the scenery. Then, I went away for business for a few months and noticed in the customer WhatsApp group people talking about a customer named James. Apparently, he had come into the store, this is in 2018, and caused quite a stir. This guy was one of the types that saw something offensive in everything, always, but professed to love 40k, which is a misnomer even by itself. Yes, it is. Right, if you're somebody who's easily offended and you say you like 40k, you don't like 40k. You don't like 40k. Right? Even if you're somebody who denies they are easily offended, but they are, you don't like 40k. Alright? It ain't for you. It ain't for you. The problem was not that he was an issue customer. We'd had those before and run them off. You know who I mean. Weirdos, woke thought police, right-wing basement dwellers, creepy mouth breathers. If you were a cool guy with a rough edge or someone with an actual issue that was mental, we'd work it out, no problem. But the bozos of the world could get fucked. No, the issue with James was that he had acquired a 50% share of the store in his divorce. Yeah. His wife owned half of it as it was her dad's store. They divorced, and to pay him off, in return for other things and just leaving her alone, she gave him her share in the store. And so, here he was, immovable. Well, that says a lot about the guy right there. You know what I mean? In fact, if you're a guy and you're paid off from a divorce, like, if you're, like, putting a woman through that much shit that she just gives you a load of stuff, because she's got loads and you've got nothing, because you haven't made anything of yourself and you're being a dick, right? I have a friend who's recently gone through that very scenario, right? Recently, where, you know, she had a husband who wasn't bringing in very much, he was being abusive towards her, you know, he was being a dick, and she was the one who was earning, she had a really good job, and she basically owned the house. When she finally divorced him, she said, no, I've had enough. Right, she has to buy him out the house, she has to do all this, she has to do all that. She can't leave him homeless, right? She got to literally, his name is on the deed, even though she paid for it, his name is on the deed, so she has to buy him out. So she did. She bought him out and did all this kind of stuff. So, but at the end of the day, the guys who end up in that situation, trust me, there will be exceptions to the rule. Maybe you are one. I don't know if you're listening to this and you're in this situation. But most of the guys I've known who have been looked after by their women after a divorce have been dickheads. I'm just going to come out and say that they've been absolute dickheads. They've been users. They've blamed everybody else for their problems. They just haven't been men. I'm just going to come out and say that as well. They just haven't been men. They haven't handled the shit. They haven't handled the business. Right? They've just curled up into a ball and hoped the world didn't hit them too hard. That's what they've done. And the woman that they're with, even if she adores him, eventually gets sick of it and leaves. But it's not the man's, not his fault. Oh no, it's not his fault. It's her fault, you know, for developing standards. It's her fault. No, mate, no, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Like, guys who do this after a divorce, who get loads of shit, they've driven their woman up the wall and driven them away with the toxicity. That's what they've done. And they're very bitter at the world. Be very careful. Now, exceptions to the rule? Of course there are. Of course there are. I've also known dudes who've been taken for everything in divorces through no fault of their own. In fact, I would say that's a lot more common. It's a lot more common for a guy to be left with, oh my god, I earned all this shit, she took half of it, right? Yes, that's much more common. But the guys who are on the other side, who are the ones who get paid off, tend to be dickheads. Sorry, I'm just the ones I've come across several in my line of work. You know, from parents' evenings and from, you know, friends, and even through like working with Games Workshop, you come across them. They're awful. most of them are awful, right? Anyway, the reason why they're awful is because they've got no self-esteem. A man has to work out his shit. He has to have a... You know what a man needs? A man needs a purpose. That a man will crawl over broken fucking glass to have a purpose. I'm telling you that now. They don't need mollycoddling. They don't need patting on the head. They need a purpose to get up in the morning. If a man doesn't have that, he is the most unattractive man ever. And if you've found a woman because you once had a purpose and now you don't, it is a ticking time bomb till she leaves. You know? For her own self-preservation. It's a ticking time bomb. Because a man who doesn't have a purpose is that ticking time bomb. He will poison himself and then he'll poison people around him. You need a purpose. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be my purpose in life. I'll tell you that right now is education, right? But also another purpose in my life is helping out you guys. I love helping. I love talking. I love doing this with you, right? It's a purpose I have in making sure if I can keep the gun out of one person's mouth when they're watching this YouTube channel, purpose fulfilled, my friend. Right? That's where I am right now. That's my purpose in life, you know? Anyway. I went back to the store with an open mind, ready to crack out my Black Templars and have some fun. I was playing against a guy called Mark and his amazing orc force, and people were gathering around us to have a look as we were two of the best painters in there, and it was quite a quintessential 40k showpiece battle of orcs versus Templars on a really nice scenery board that we had made. Then it happened. Okay. Stop, came James's voice. Now, I'd seen James on the way in and said hello to him. He was a slim guy with thick black glasses. He wore a shirt that looked like he should be a lumberjack or something, and jean shorts with Converse. Not my style, but hey. When I looked up, he was looking down his nose at the table we were playing on, disgusted. He said, and I quote, "I don't want that in the store, it's fucking offensive." He was pointing to the iron cross marks on my Black Templars. You know, the Templar cross. Knightly heraldry. I asked him to explain himself, and boy did he. A 5-minute diatribe about the evils of Black Templars and the symbols Games Workshop put on them back in the day without realising their context. And I quote, he finished with, "It's a different company now. They wouldn't allow Third Reich symbols on their models, and anyone who does is just a closet bigot." Wow. Wow. Right then. This is what he said. Right then. I knew where the store was. I knew the store was dead. Right then and there, I knew the store was dead. I know he saw my sad look and the shake of my head as if he'd won, and that was fine, but there was no getting rid of this guy. The other owner was an old man who was never there. This was James's store now, like it or not. I looked up at him and told him, and I quote, "What is offensive to me, guy, is you using such language in front of kids who are watching this game and having fun. The Iron Cross is a piece of knightly heraldry made most famous by groups like the Knights Hospitaller, literally hospital knights, who went around caring for people as much as cutting down other zealots. They guarded medieval hospitals. It's a piece of heraldry used across Europe through the Middle Ages and beyond, and like many things, was a symbol co-opted by modern European governments, like pre-World War I Germany. Yes, World War I, not World War II. It was those people who adopted the Iron Cross, not the Third Reich, as you seem to be suggesting. I suggest you do some reading before spouting nonsense about things you know absolutely nothing about." Okay, I'm going to guess that you said that with a lot more verbose language than what you put there, but that's from your memory, you know, that wasn't verbatim, but that's fine. If you've not guessed by now, I teach history for a living, good man of culture, and medieval history especially. I teach at a college 3 days a week, and the rest of my time is spent on research and papers. In all honesty, I'd said my piece, but James would have none of it. He said, "What it was is not important. I don't want it in my store if it pertains to any third-rate crap," which it obviously does. You go down this road, it's only a matter of time before you're painting swastikas on there. The brain seeping out of this guy's fucking ears it must be. Oh my god. As a fellow historian, mate, my toes are curling. At this point, I slammed my hand down on the table, making him jump, but it was my table, so fuck it, and said, "Listen, I am finishing this game with Mark, and then you won't need to worry, I won't be coming back to your store ever again after previously coming here for 10 plus years. Mission accomplished, right? You've gotten rid of a customer, I won't be coming back." "I'd like you to leave," Mark chirped. Sorry, "I'd like you to leave." Was that Mark chirped? Why have you put Mark there? It's James. Anyway, I'll correct it, it's fine. "I'd like you to leave," James chirped. I shrugged and apologised to Mark. I said to James, "You're really doing this now? You're being this low? You're really going to act like a child and embarrass yourself? Fine, I'll leave." And I did. I packed up my army, very self-consciously, and headed out. I let the WhatsApp group know what had happened and that I wouldn't be going back ever again. I was one of the longest serving guys there, so a lot of them were a bit taken aback but not surprised. They even asked me if they could keep going to the store and remain friends with me, which of course they could. I'm not the one to hold grudges. Most dropped away though, as James found fault with them for one thing or another, to be replaced from James's friends group from university, who were just as separated from reality as he was. Eventually, he moved the store away from models entirely and towards Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. When seeing things like Critical Role and other bits from Wizards of the Coast and things like that, I can honestly see why he loves it so much. I have no hatred for those other hobbies or the people that do them, but it does show the kinds of nut jobs you want to attract when making it blindly inclusive instead of setting out what the hobby is and what it's for and inviting people to partake regardless of who they are. I don't know. Am I crazy? We have a group now called the Old Guard and we play together at each other's houses. It's the same vibe just without the magical store element. Meh, fuck that guy. Thanks for reading North Foxon. No, you're not crazy, and I agree. I agree. If you make your hobby blindly inclusive to the point where you're throwing away all of the intricacies and sacred parts of your lore to appease people, then yeah, your hobby is a slush. Your hobby is a grey mush. And I think a lot of people are watching the, Dungeons and Dragons-ification of 40k, which is happening. Things are getting more light. The Grimdark is being gradually stripped away, right? People are seeing that and being like, okay, this isn't us anymore. Yeah, we loved what the hobby was. And just because we like what the hobby was doesn't mean we're not inclusive. We don't care who you are or what you look like or what you identify as long as you like 40k. If you like 40k, you're welcome here, right? If you want to come into 40k and make it like this Critical Role, everybody's got blue and purple hair, everybody's bi, all that kind of thing. If you want to bring that into 40k, fuck off. Don't want you here, right? Don't want you here. That's not what 40k is about. 40k is about war. That's all it's about. It's about war. That's it. War. There's nothing but war. Okay? There are deeper parts to the lore. Of course there are. Of course there are. Right? But I'm telling you now, we're going to have a bi Primarch. I'm telling you. And it's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you now, it's coming. And there'll be people looking to me going, sorry, yeah, I'll accept your apologies then. It's on its way. It's on its way. I have nothing against any characters from anything being bi or whatever, right? If you want to make an entire setting like that, go for it. Absolutely. I might even read it and enjoy it. But that's not what 40k is about. If you bring that shit into 40k, you're missing the point. 40k is beautiful because it appeals to everybody just how it is. It doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, lesbian, if you identify as the moon or a helicopter or as or as somebody who's non-binary, or whatever the fuck your deal is, it doesn't matter. If you like 40k, you're welcome here. That's why it's special. It's not special because you acquiesce to what other people are in your setting. It's special because it doesn't do that. That's why it's special. It doesn't need to. It's a unifying force in itself. Have faith in the hobby. Right? It's a unifier. And it's one of the only ones out there, one of the only ones in the world where people can come together and be truly unified by their love of the fucking hobby and shooting big massive aliens right in the balls. Right? That's what we're here for. To have fun in a grimdark sci-fi setting. That's what we're here for. If you're here for that, welcome. And I don't care where you come from or who you are. Welcome to the hobby. If you want to make the hobby more like the D&D, this weird, multicolored, you know, just you know what I mean, sludge, then you're not welcome here. You're not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that. You're not welcome. Right? We only want people who like 40k here. If you want that kind of thing, go and make something of your own. Make it like 40k, but with all of your stuff that you like in it. No problem. Absolutely no problem at all. I've had to do that myself. Okay? I wanted a 40k type setting with more knights in it, right? So I had to go make it myself. I didn't demand that 40k have more knights in it and more knightly heraldry and more like things like that. I didn't demand that because it's not my place, right? 40k is 40k, and I love 40k because it's 40k. But I went and made something on my own that me and my friends play in, and you know, it's 40k like, but it has more of the things that I like in it. Why? Because I'm not selfish enough to come in and demand somebody else's hobby to change to fit me and my outlook. Okay? 40k is 40k. We don't care about anything about you as long as you like 40k. If you're here for that, great. If you're not, then good luck to you. Go and find something else that you like to do. You're not in the wrong here, Fox. Alright? You're not in the wrong. Okay? Alright. I love you a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow where we'll be doing another hobby rant, and this one's a biggie. This one is about how the Black Templars have been neutered. Oh my god, my poor boys. My poor boys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Love you a long time. Bye now.